just start by introducing yourself? Your name is?
My name's Abdullah.
And you're from?
I'm from north of England.
Oh, okay. Obviously, many people embracing Islam nowadays, and Islam become the fastest growing belief. What was it that led you to embrace Islam?
Yeah, it's a mixture of things really. I think after I was in the British Army for 12 years, and obviously had served in various places on different campaigns, and I think when I came back, well, I actually seen brothers that were praying in Salah and stuff, you know, and I always thought about my own self. I thought, what's my purpose in life, you know, and if I'm from the chosen people, i.e. the Christians, they say they're the chosen people, but I seen the people when they're Muslims, how they prayed and they put their head in sujood. I thought that would be more acceptable. If I was a creator, that would be more acceptable. That would look like more to me. It would mean more to me, you understand, if I was a creator. Somebody's putting his head on his floor and somebody's just standing there with their hands together, you know, and clapping and singing songs and all that sort of jives that they do, you know. But so obviously when I'd seen the Muslims how they prayed and that, you know, and one night I came out of a nightclub after drinking sharab, you know, and I was talking to one taxi driver, and he explained to me about who the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who he was, and he asked me, did I believe that Prophet Jesus was the Son of God? I said, no, I believe he's a messenger, you know, so because it makes sense that he was a messenger rather than to be Son of God, you know. So and after that I went home, I had a dream, and in my dream I heard sallallahu alaihi wasallam over and over again in my dream. I wondered what it meant. So I phoned the brother up the next day who gave me his phone number the night before, and he invited me to the masjid, and I was in Stoke-on-Trent at that time. So I went down to the masjid, but my plan was, as I got to the masjid, I was going to go into the masjid, see what the brothers had to say, and then go to the pub which is right opposite the masjid. That was my plan. But as I went into the masjid, yeah, my life was changed totally. You know, when I went in there, I had a feeling that this was meant to be somebody was trying to tell me something. So I believed that maybe God was trying to give me a sign, you know. So I spoke to the brothers inside, and they advised me on what I should do, what I shouldn't do, etc., how to go about embracing Islam. And I took it from there, really. It's basically, I said to the Imam, so I said, look, I can do two things here. My intention when I came here to the masjid was to see what you guys had to say. Then I was going to go to the pub outside, probably get wrecked, you know, drink sharab, fall in the gutter somewhere like I do every night of the week, 7 days a week. Or I can come here and embrace Islam. I said to him, I believe if I go out that door, maybe I'll never come this path again. So I took the signs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given me, you know, and then I realised that maybe like he was trying to tell me something, you know, that God was trying to tell me something. So with that, I said to the Imam, you know, I said, I'm not going to leave here until you make me Muslim. So with that, I took Shahada, and alhamdulillah, that was 10 years ago.
Alhamdulillah. You know, many people, they'll say, when they view certain things such as Muslims praying or Muslims bowing and prostrating, they feel it's a major culture shock. Obviously, with the background that you've got, with certain things you're involved with, maybe drinking or going nightclubs or what have you, did you find it as a massive culture shock coming to Islam?
No, to be honest, I mean, because I was very disciplined anyway. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, from being in the army for 12 years, do you know what I mean? And obviously, my life, when I grew up, in my family, my mum was very strict, you know what I mean? My mother and my stepfather were very strict, do you know what I mean? So if we stepped out of line, you would get a bit of a slap, you know? But it never did us any harm, do you know what I mean? It made me who I was, do you know what I mean? And it stood me in good stead for when I went in the army, you know? And like I say, coming to Islam, when I seen the Muslims in sujood, I thought, yeah, this is the way, you know, that's how you should submit yourself to your creator. You understand? I think for many years I've been looking for something, do you know what I mean? And especially when I left the army, I was looking for something, do you know what I mean? Because we had like a brotherhood in the army, you know what I mean? It was like, if a grenade goes off, then one of us would jump on it to save the rest of the guys' lives, you know? So for me, coming to Islam and seeing that brotherhood, I thought, yeah, it's brilliant. And it wasn't a culture shock to me to put my head in sujood. I thought, you know, it felt natural, do you know what I mean?
You know, how's the family reaction? This is one of the things which many people often are hesitant to embrace Islam because I was speaking with one individual not too long ago on a road show, and he was saying, I've been a Christian, maybe not a practicing Christian, for the last 20, 30 years, and how can I then turn my back on all of this, even though if I recognize this falsehood, he felt as if he was going to be betraying his parents and his forefathers. What would you say to something like that?
So, for me personally, I mean, even obviously when I left home and joined the army, I was answerable only to to my peers in the army. You understand? I wasn't answerable to my parents. Obviously, I respected my parents, but I left home then. Do you understand? And so I did what I wanted to do. You understand? So I didn't care what anybody thought. And when I embraced Islam, obviously Shaitan come to me. What's what in my ear saying, "Oh, how are you going to give up your life of the sharab, the different other things that you've done, and how are you going to, you know, what is your family going to say?" But me being me, I said no. I'll do what I want to do. You know, and what I'm doing now is, I believe is right, it's correct. I'm doing it in accordance with what my Creator wants me to do. You understand? That's how I felt. You understand? So I wasn't scared what my family were going to say. Do you understand? I understand that they might be a bit upset, and they did take it hard, but, you know, alhamdulillah, you know, Allah Ta'ala is merciful, you know what I mean? And Allah Ta'ala showed me to the right path, you know what I mean? And it made it easy for me.
Obviously, Islam encompasses a whole complete way of life,
Yeah.
as well as, you know, from a political system down to a social system. On a social level, how did your former work colleagues, I mean, we're talking about you in the army,
Yeah.
incident, obviously, and as well as your other friends, how did they react once they discovered you were a Muslim?
Yeah, I think colleagues in the army, to be honest, when I left the army, I left it behind. I don't keep in touch with any of my mates from the army, do you understand? So it's like, that was from the past, do you know what I mean? I didn't want nothing to do with them anymore, because obviously my life was totally different. And obviously understanding from what happened in, you know, the different campaigns, you know, Allah knows best, but you know what they think of Muslims, you understand? So, but...
I mean, a lot of the conflicts taking place where the British Army is involved, if you look at the last maybe 10, 15 years, has been namely within Muslim countries as well as others. You're talking about Bosnia, Afghanistan, over the first Gulf War, the second Iraq War. Did you ever come across any of your work colleagues who maybe were intrigued by Islam or maybe just the cultural practices of Muslims in Muslim countries?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, no. I never saw anything. They weren't... I mean, I didn't see anything like that. You know, I never seen that. Because obviously we were all sort of like, the expression in the army is army barmy, you know? It's, you're just... I think because I went in such an early age as well, I was 15 and a half when I joined, you know, so I was a boy soldier. So you're like groomed from an early age, you understand? You go in there and they basically strip you mentally as well as physically and dress you, and they put you in a state of mind, like you just rebuild your mind, if you like, do you understand? It's like when you get a brand new computer and you put everything on it that you need, and that's what they do in the army. You say forget everything else, and it's sort of like it's a form of brainwashing, you understand? So, and you just do things without hesitating. So, but I never seen anybody who was sort of like had a feeling towards Islam or Muslims or anything, you know. I didn't see that sort of thing.
Obviously, before all of these questions started coming to your mind, I mean, you've obviously questioned man, life, universe, your purpose in life.
Yeah.
Did anyone at all, I mean, we're talking about here in Britain, did anybody at all ever talk about Islam, maybe give you dawah, invite you to Islam? The reason why I ask this is many converts, they often say that how they feel as if it would have been nicer for them if someone would have given them dawah much earlier than having to discover Islam on their own.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'd had a few instances when I was in the army. I was based in Chelsea Barracks, and a couple of brothers, you know, at the time, I would always get taxis. They'd give me dawah. But I was so drunk, you know. I said, listen, you know, you're talking to the wrong person. I said, I'm a Christian. I said, but I'm not. I said, I'm not a practicing Christian. I said, but at the end of the day, I said, I'm an infantry. I'm a trained killer. That's it. That's all I do. I said, I don't care about religion. I said, I don't care about the Creator. I said, I believe in one Creator. I said, but I don't care. I've got my purpose, and that's it. But obviously, that's how I was mentally. My focus was on the army, you know, and doing the job that was you had to do in the army, which was obviously frontline infantry soldiering. You understand? So my job was to go out there if there was anything happening in the world at the time, you know, any conflict, I would be sent to the front line to serve and to do what you have to do as an infantry soldier, to restore law and order, to take life if you have to, etc., according to their rules, you know, their so-called democratic rules, you know. Nowadays,
obviously, there's a lot of discussion, a lot of debate, and people are trying to amplify their voices by saying that Islam is anti-extremism or Islam is pro-moderate Islam as projected by many organizations which claim to represent the Muslim community. How has your view changed post 9/11? Obviously you were Muslim before 9/11, I take it.
Yeah.
And how do you view certain world events, you know, where people claim that Islam is a moderate religion or and it's been hijacked by so-called extremists? What is the real honest truth? I mean, you're a convert, you're a revert. Somebody's going to be watching this, who's a convert, and he's going to be slightly confused about this.
Yeah, I would say everything else is a lie. Islam is the only truth, and these people say that, it's with the World Trade Center bombings and all that, it's terrorism. I would say, no, there's no, if you want to know who the real terrorists are, look at the governments around the world today. They're the terrorists. Look at their soldiers, they're the terrorists. Look at the police, they're the terrorists. All of them, they're all terrorists, we all know that terrorism, it means that basically somebody who's tries to force an opinion, expression over you, and try to force you to do things that you don't want to do, etc. So, and the Muslims, they don't do that. Islam means submission. You understand? But it's a perfect, complete way of life. You understand? But if you look, like I say, every other system, it's false. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't agree naturally with your fitrah. You understand?
Yeah, because look, some people are going to argue, and they're going to try and portray to the wider non-Muslim community that Islam is just a personal belief, and it should just be left inside the mosque, and it doesn't encompass life's affairs, and therefore, as a result of that, we can integrate with any non-Islamic society. What would be the Islamic viewpoint?
I mean, for me personally, what I would say to anybody, even to Muslims, moderate Muslims, is that, like, if they fear Allah and they truly love Allah and His Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they believe in Him and they believe in the Quran, then they should follow the Quran and the Sunnah to the word. You understand? And that will and may Allah guide them. You understand? Because at the end of the day, the Quran is not wrong. It's correct. It's never been changed word for word, dot for dot, for 1400 years. Subhanallah. You understand? So, but the Quran is there to be read, understood, and implemented. You understand? So, and if these people, if they want to practice their form of moderate Islam, alhamdulillah, but they should fear Allah on the day of Qiyamah. You understand?
You've obviously seen both sides of both ways of life from a non-Islamic perspective, and obviously from an Islamic perspective. Would you be someone who'd be quite open and proud to say that he advocates Sharia law, for example, to be implemented in Western countries?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Sharia is the only way, isn't it? You understand? If you look at democracy, it's a hypocritical system, isn't it? You understand? Whereas Islam and Sharia is a fair system. You understand? Where else would you get free food, clothing, and shelter? You understand? Where the wealth of the world is shared out according to mankind's needs. And it's the only system that ever eradicated poverty for over 1,300 years. We've seen in the Arabian Peninsula, in parts of Spain, Andalusia, we see where Islam dominated and gave a fairer system, which a complete system. You understand? So you don't see that today. The fat cats, so-called, these government ministers and all, they're making so much money from the poor. They don't want to give up this position, and that's why they're against Islam and Muslims. That's why the Crusades are still going on today. As George Bush said, it's the continuation of the Crusades. The truth, their tongue didn't lie.
Muslims are constantly under the spotlight, under the media. A lot of discussion nowadays is going on about how Muslims can integrate within British society and European society. As a consequence of that, many people are nowadays arguing about a so-called Islamification of Europe and Islamification of Britain. And as a consequence of that, we see various legislation being passed and various measures being brought forward, such as the Prevent Scheme, and namely the banning of the niqab. Why do you believe that Muslims are so much under the spotlight, minus, of course, the July 7th bombings and the 9/11 bombings? Because it doesn't seem to be that Muslims are merely just being called terrorists nowadays, but they're referred to as violent extremists simply because they want to adhere to the Islamic values. Why is it that Muslims are being targeted so much via these type of legislations and laws and proposals?
I mean, obviously, we know that if Islam comes to power, if the Sharia comes to power, then they lose the power. You understand? These government, the ministers, they lose their positions, they become the same as everybody else. You understand? So that's why we can see today they still continue with their crusades to destroy Islam and Muslims. You understand? We can see it's everywhere we go, and they'll get, like say in France, the banning of niqab. Who knows if it's going to next come to the UK? You understand? But if they want more 7/7s and they want more 9/11s, then they should just keep on the way they're going, because that's what's going to happen. You understand? They should give the Muslims their right and their freedom. You understand? And let them implement the Sharia. You understand? Because it's a better system for the people. You understand?
Many people would argue, for example, Condoleezza Rice a few years ago, just touching upon what you said in reference to what you've just said, that they cannot allow such a system as Sharia or Islamic law to come into place because, after all, they have to secure their own vested interests. Is that the reason why they are in countries like Iraq and Afghanistan?
Yeah, 100%. For that, and also, of course, for greed. And we don't know that greed comes from shaitan. You understand? So they're there to take what they can from the land. And what they've done to Iraq, they said they went there and they restored peace. They haven't restored it, they made it worse. and they basically took what they wanted and pulled out. Subhanallah. You know, so we can see, you know, these are just evil shayateen. You understand? And they only care for for their own welfare. You understand? They only care about themselves. They don't care about the people that are under them. Although they say that we speak for you people. You know, you put us into power. Let us speak for you. Let us work for you. But they don't. They've got other agendas. As we know, it's mainly, you know, behind them is the Yahud. You know, so we can see what the true reality of these people is, especially with after Iraq and now Afghanistan. Now that the Americans and the British have been beat and the Taliban are running 96% of the country now. So alhamdulillah, it's only a matter of time before the Muslims, they have victory in Afghanistan, and then they march on to different areas and have victory all over the world, inshallah.
There's a lot of spotlight again on the Muslim community, especially converts within the media. They say there's a high rise of conversions inside prisons. They say there's a high rise of conversions, especially amongst women within the West. Why do you think there's so much interest and so many a high rate, an increase in conversions to Islam?
Because at the end of the day, I mean, look at Islam. It's a beautiful system. It's a complete system. It teaches you how to eat, how to sleep correctly, how to have a relationship with your wife, how to go to the toilet, how to clean yourself, how to cleanse yourself properly. You understand? And not only that, it's a fair system. Islam is our women, we look after them. We don't abuse them. You understand? We don't have today, if you see outside on the weekend, the women, they go outside and the men treat the women like a piece of meat. That's why the rapes is so high. Is it one every couple of minutes, a rape every 2 minutes in the UK? It's such a high rate of the rape. Is so high rate of the rape, you know, in this country. It's ridiculous. But in Islam, we don't have that. Islam, we love our women. We protect our women to the best of our ability. You know, within the laws of the Sharia. You know, according to how Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us. So and naturally, the woman, she doesn't want to be treated like a piece of meat. She wants to be loved. She wants to be respected. SubhanAllah. So that's why I believe they come to Islam, because they see that love and that respect there in Islam, and they see the beauty of Islam. You know what I mean? So.
Despite many people trying to tell us that Britain is a Christian country, you can see majority of people they're infatuated with consumerism, with binge drinking, the sort of culture. What message would you give to the average typical British man or woman with regards to them perhaps looking into Islam?
Yeah, I would say definitely go for it. 100%. It's the best thing I ever did was embrace Islam. Out of everything I've done in my life, you know, I always thought that joining the army and serving my country was the best thing I ever did. And then I became Muslim, and that opened up a whole new world for me. You understand? And this is it's it's 100% definitely the best, 110% should say, the best thing I ever did. You know what I mean? I would advise anybody who was thinking about Islam to go for it, and don't hesitate. You know, just go for it, because Islam it's the way forward.